Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Gloves Off. I took about a month off because I wanted this season, the second season of Gloves Off, to be really, really special. I wanted it to be redefined. I wanted it to be unfiltered, unarmored, and unapologetic. And really, sometimes these creative things have to just go in flow. So I gave myself the space and the time to create it in the way that I wanted. And I'm so glad to be back. And for those of you who are just joining Gloves Off for the first time, this is Gloves Off. This is where I interview people who are disruptors, people who want to change the world, people who live up unapologetically, have the courage to to make different choices and step outside of their comfort zone and step outside what society thinks they should do. So that's what I'm here about. I'm your host, Dr. Kalpana. I did the very same thing. I left a career in medicine and in med spa ownership to follow what I really wanted to do. And what I do now is much more enjoyable because I get to work with people I love and I get to help businesses thrive. I also have multiple aspects of my own business that I'm building out. And I have to say, I've never been happier. My decision allowed me to move to California, for those of you who haven't been watching the show and you're new here. And it's somewhere I've always wanted to live. And in my old life, I couldn't have left and gone to California. So that's big for me. So today we have a fun topic to talk about. Because could you imagine if your work could actually create wealth? If it could create more wellness, more truth without burning you out? Wouldn't that be an amazing way to live, right? Well, that's exactly what our guest and I are talking about today. So today I'm interviewing Robyn Fields, and she is a very special human being. But before I get into that, I want to actually just give a couple of updates about things going on in the show. First, the show opener that you saw, if you've been watching last season, you know it's different. It's redesigned. And a huge shout out to my season sponsor, Listening to Smile, because they did the opening for the show. They're going to be doing the openings for my other podcasts as well. Some of you may have caught Gloves Off After Dark. I did one episode and then I'll be returning at the end of the month. We'll have one episode at the end of every month, and that's the show that I'm hosting with Joshua Berglund. So that will be really fun. So if you didn't get that, take a peek at the last episode, and then hopefully you will tune in towards the end of the month. On another note, I'm also launching another one called Unbound and Uncensored. Don't have a launch date for that yet, but just stay tuned. You can follow me on YouTube, social media, whatnot, and I will be announcing those things. So this is a great time to put this up here because this is the best place to watch all the podcasts that I'm launching, and it makes it really easy. You could see it on the live section. So that's the best and easiest way to watch and tune in. So super excited to have you guys here. So let's get back to what we were talking about before. I want to mention that I want to also thank Get Healthy USA, which is Robyn's company, for sponsoring this episode. But the greatest thing is that I met Robyn on LinkedIn, and you'd be surprised. LinkedIn can be a great place to meet some amazing people. Now, I'm very energetically in tuned. I've talked about this before on the show. So what that means is I won't just connect with anybody. I get a vibe one way or the other from them. But with Robyn, I immediately got a great vibe. And I said, first of all, we had some similarities. We were from around the same areas in Florida, which was nice. And I've gotten to know her over the past couple of months, which has been wonderful. So, we're going to dive into this episode. We're not going to have lots of fluff. We're not going to have filters. We're just going to get real. So a little bit about Robyn that I have to share with you. So she has 5 kids. Okay. Now I am impressed by that because I thought having 2 kids was really tough, and she has 5. I'm like, how do you even do that? I even told her the other day, I said, I'd probably forget all their names. So the fact that you even remember all their names is amazing. I have 2 and sometimes I mix up their names. So anyway, she comes from a background in the chiropractic space as well as in the cosmetology space. And she has been really instrumental in helping medical practices as well as med spas, and that's where we combined efforts, because that's a passion of mine too, create healthy alternatives for their own clients, number one, increase profitability for their own practice, which is amazing when those two things can go hand in hand. So again, I'm all about business, but I'm all about ethical business. I'm all about health and wellness, and I'm very passionate about helping people, which was kind of the reason that I left medicine, because I didn't enjoy helping people in the way that traditional medicine told me to. So with all that said, let's bring Robyn on and invite her to the new redefined season of Gloves Off.
Hi, Dr. Sundar.
Hello, so glad to have you here. I've been excited about this conversation for quite some time.
I know, I'm so excited to be here. I just feel honored to be your friend and associate. So it's
Oh, yeah. It's been such a blessing to meet. Well, it's funny how the universe works, right? Because I think once you're so clear in what you love and what you want to do, it's funny how many people start to just come your way. I didn't go looking for people, they just show up. And I'm like, oh, this is great. It's so much easier this way.
yeah, it really is amazing how that works.
Yes, and we are so aligned, and you would not have known. I mean, maybe one could look and think, oh, we're just so different. Maybe on paper we look really, really different. And this is the problem with paper, because on paper everything looks different. But when you're dealing with energy and how people get along, all of a sudden you realize there really are no differences, really. It's just the things that you care about, what really lights you up, and thankfully the same things light us up.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I'm so impressed with what you do and how you help people, and you're very passionate about
Oh,
what you do. So,
thank you. And it's taken a little while for me to really find exactly what that was, because for me, I have a lot of things that I'm really good at. I don't mean that in a braggy sort of way, but I am just good at a lot of things. So I think when that happens to people, because I know there are other people out there that are like that too. I think it can be really tough to really decide what it is you should be doing and not just do the things that you're good at. So that being said, I just really took it in. That's why I'm creating all these aspects of my business, because it allows me to figure out which places that I want to concentrate my time. I pick different areas and whatnot. But to me, this was a real blessing, because I think, just starting with a little bit of the backstory, I think I told you that I've always been interested in supplementation. I've always been interested in business and adding revenues into businesses, because medicine is a tough industry. Med spas are a tough industry. So there is a desire to help the client and help the business also. Well, I've looked into many, many supplements over the years, and I have to say, I'm glad I looked into them, because I saw a lot of things that were not right about them. Because as we know, supplements are a very poorly regulated industry.
mhm.
For a supplement company to be good, they have to really self-regulate, which most won't, because self-regulation costs a lot of damn money, as we know.
Yes.
And that's where the problem usually lies. So that being said, when I met you and I started to deep dive into Pharmanex, because I've talked to a bunch of supplement companies in the past and tried their products. I'm just a supplement junkie, if you will. I was really, really impressed. So that's probably like the first question I want to ask you is, what got you interested?
Oh, definitely. It was the science behind the products. Because, like you, I've always been interested in supplements, because we do not get all the nutrients we need from the food that we eat every day. So we need that extra help. So, I mean, but I didn't really know throughout the years what I was looking for. I just tried different supplements. But then when I found this company, and the science behind it, I was so amazed. And then
Mm-hmm.
when I went to visit the headquarters of the company, I was amazed at the labs, and all the validation behind our technology that measures if the supplements are working. So I just jumped right on board, and I
Yeah.
because I love to help people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And coming from a background of any kind of, science or healthcare, it is why we go into those fields. But then I think we find certain systems are broken, which is what I found out. But I love talking health and wellness. So one of the things that I love about Pharmanex is that scanner. So let's talk about and I love saying the word biophotonic scanners. I don't know why, it just sounds amazing. I just love it. But explain to us what that is. And actually, I should just grab mine. I should have even,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
yeah, you can explain
So
it.
that technology is 20 years old. We acquired that for 135 million. It was funded by the NIH. And so when we acquired it, it was as big as 4 ping pong tables. And then over the years, we invested millions and millions to keep shrinking it down. So now it's the size of a football, it's portable, it measures the health of your cell, which it's really measuring the level of antioxidants, mainly the carotenoids, in 30 seconds, which is more accurate than a blood test and equal to a biopsy. And it's non-invasive.
That's just so spectacular. I just love the research and development behind this. So I saw a video about Dr. Oz talking about this, and he called it the health lie detector test. And I love that terminology. So I had to go get it because I didn't have it right here, but here it is. So this is the scanner. And, we're going to talk, I don't want to, talk about what's coming, but we're going to tease it a little bit. But I love this thing. It's so small. And, people don't realize that they're really unhealthy. And they say they eat right, they do all these things, they go to the gym, and it's shocking, actually. So I know what the average population scores on this, which is something around 20-something thousand. We want our score to be 50,000 or above. So I have been scanning people in San Diego. So this is my own little study that I did, that I've started to do. San Diego is wealthy. It's wealthy, which means that people can afford good food here, okay? Mm-hmm. People are very fit here in San Diego. So out of curiosity, I started scanning all the people that I know, the ones who think they're healthy. Do you know that everybody scored under 25,000?
Wow.
I think 26,000 was the highest score I've seen so far. And I am taking a subset of a very healthy portion of America and a very wealthy portion of America. People who can afford organic food, proper food, nutrition, go to the gym memberships, all these things. So I specifically selected people like that just to see what they scored. And I was shocked.
Yeah, and if you were to give that a grade, that would be a D.
Mm-hmm. And these are all well-to-do people who would not want to get a D in anything,
No.
Their health and wellness. And yet, I have to say, this is also impressive. They have a lot of excuses for why they scored low. They do. So, of the excuses I've heard, I'm under stress. Well, hello, who the hell isn't?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, last time I checked, I wasn't being fanned by a bunch of really hot men laying on the couch and with no stress. I mean, that's not my life. I mean, I wish it was, but it's not. Anyway.
Totally.
I got stress. I mean, our body has stress from just, exercising, all the things. Other excuses I get. Well, I drink a lot. Well, that's not a great idea, is it? I don't know. It was rather amusing to me is all I could say.
Yeah. Yeah. So it addresses diet and lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
yeah. So right there, because it's very visual, we can help people. We can improve that score because what you can measure, you can improve. And you know what? Everyone deserves to know the health of their cells.
100%. So what is your score? Do you know?
Well, when I was first scanned, I was the average American. I was 23,000. And then I got it up to like 50,000. But my highest score ever has been 99,000. And that's like off the charts.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, I was 52,000 last time I checked.
And that's awesome.
Which is
that's
awesome.
1% of the population.
So I'm thrilled with that. But again, I don't really drink a lot. It's once in a while. I exercise. I eat pretty healthy. I take all my supplements. I'm a very regimented human being when it comes to those things. I make sure I get my sleep. So, thank goodness. I even joined a gym recently just because I moved. So I had to join a different gym. And I did some sort of health lifestyle questionnaire. And I scored very high on that because I'm very obsessed with health and wellness, clearly.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. But so So the other thing I love about this is that when people do go on supplements, it's you can rescan them, and if they don't improve their score, the company gives you their money back. I mean, it gives a client their money back. Who does that? No company does that. Most supplements out there, they don't even have what's in the bottle doesn't match the ingredients on the label. That's the majority. And then, oh, let's not even go into contamination and blah, blah, blah. That's most supplement companies. So yes, these supplements are going to be more expensive than what you're going to buy at GNC, Target, Walmart, but you're not going to have the problems of what we just discussed. Everything that is in there is supposed to be in there, and anything that's not supposed to be in there is not in there. They have something called a 6S process, and we're going to talk about a few of the S's. And that's what I think I really got so impressed with the company. So maybe we can start with like sourcing and selection first.
Yeah, sure. So the 6S process, that is stricter than pharmaceutical grade. And that's just because of the integrity of our company. There's not, like what you mentioned before, the regulation is very vague in the supplement industry. So our company didn't have to do that. But because we have the highest integrity, they came up with the 6S process, which is amazing because these supplements are designed for us to be on our whole entire life. So we have those nutrients. But so the first one is selection, and this was interesting because 60% of the raw material that comes into our company is rejected because it's not what they said it would be from our suppliers. 60%. So and then it's tested throughout the manufacturing of the products, and so sourcing. We have 75 full-time scientists that some of them go out to where we receive the raw ingredients and they measure the soil, all of that. So the testing is incredible.
That is really impressive. And then we had talked about this before. How many scientists are on the, within a company for most supplement companies? I'm getting tongue twisted here.
Yeah. Yeah, I was amazed. So that would be 2.
2 versus 75 PhDs. I'd rather be with the company that has 75 PhDs on the staff.
From 13 different disciplines.
Wow. That's pretty impressive. And as a physician, that makes me feel good. It makes me feel good about discussing products like this, because again, the goal is to bring something into med spas for me. I mean, this because this is what I do, and healthcare practitioners' offices that is going to not only improve the health of their patients, but improve the health of the business of their practices. Yeah. Because it isn't easy to make money in medicine anymore. Most people are dying and they start to do unscrupulous things to start to save money. Well, I'd rather help them have a revenue stream that is aligned with integrity and is providing proper nutrients to their patients and clients.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when they do help their patients with the nutritional, having the foundational nutritional levels they should, then everything else they do has better outcomes.
Totally. So let's talk about, for example, in the med spa space. Most med spas are just injections, lasers, this, that, the other thing. I'm sorry. I mean, if you're not in the wellness space doing any kind of wellness in a med spa, you're just a technician. And I'm just going to say that boldly because it's so true. Just nipping and tucking and Botoxing, blah, blah, blah. You're just, it's kind of getting icky to me. If we're not addressing the health and wellness, because I don't care how much you Botox somebody, if your health and nutrition isn't good, you're really not doing them any favors. When people ask me how much Botox do I get, it's hardly any. I have to tell you, I don't need it. And why? I think it's because I take really good care of my skin and I'm very, very healthy and very, very active. So I'm almost 56 years old. I don't do it often, maybe once every year or two. Yeah. Sometimes there's a line that just starts to look a little deeper than I want, but that's it. And I know this is not what the industry sells. The industry, of course, tells you to come in every 4 months. I have actually never believed that, even in my own med spa. I was like, I don't even want to do that to people.
Wow.
Injecting all those toxins every 4 months, no, thank you. So I don't even agree with it, to be honest with you. So, and I'm not here to tell everybody what to do, but I'm just saying I personally don't agree with that. It's not the way I would do things. It's not the way I do things for my own personal health. I would rather have something like this address my general health and well-being, then my skin looks good, I'm healthy, and then I don't need all the other stuff as much.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. And so we also have the age lock technology,
I
which,
know.
which we go to the source of aging.
Yes.
All the other companies treat the signs and the symptoms, but we go to the source. So, for example, can I share
Yeah,
some of our epigenetic products?
absolutely. I love those products.
Okay, so one product is a superfoods from 11 different regions all over the world. So even if you ate really healthy where you live, there's no way that you could get superfoods from 11 different regions all over the world. Like purple corn from Peru. That's one example. But that product works on the genetic level. So it will reset over 1,000 genes in your body the way your genes express themselves when you are in your 20s.
Well, so if I take that, I'm going to look 20 again? Is that what you're telling me?
You're pretty close to looking 20 now.
I don't know about that, but, but no, that's so beautiful because again, and listen, I'm saying that if we really address the health and wellness of our patients like this, they are just really grateful. And there's still aspects of aging we can still address. I mean, we still need filler, we still need lasers. Those things have a place. So, I say this for the med spas who are like, I don't want this because then all my patients are going to feel good and look good and they don't need my treatments. Well, that's not really true. Maybe, it'll just be different treatments, but whatever you do is going to look so much better.
Yeah.
But
And I
that's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, and I have to add, this one product, it actually has a functional MRI. So before someone takes it, and then they've done functional MRIs, and then
Mhm.
8 weeks later, they've taken another functional MRI, and there's more brain activity.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's really amazing. I do remember that because
yeah.
Robin and I actually just got back from a conference in Utah a couple of weeks ago. Or was it just last week? I don't know.
Last week.
It feels like a couple of weeks, a lot's gone on. Anyway, but it's just all this amazing things that I learned. And I was really, I was already impressed. I'd already done some research on the products, but just going there and going to see the lab and going to see how stringent they were in their testing, hearing about how they source everything. Because you're right, we can't go to all these different countries and source all these ingredients that we need. And even though I eat healthy, I would rather supplement my body with all the things that I can't eat in a given day,
Yeah, yeah.
which is pretty impressive. And then the standardization. I have to say, I was so impressed
Mm.
when we went to the walkthrough in the lab about how they're so standardized. I mean, they're very, very stringent. So if you'll just explain a little bit about that.
Yeah, so you're getting exactly what the label says in every single bottle. So, and that's unheard of in this industry. So you just know that everything is exactly the same in every single bottle or box, however it comes to you. So and then they do testing. So it's a 2 year period that those supplements are good for. And if they don't last for 2 years, then they don't put that on the market.
Right. And I mean, they will actually stop production if
Mhm.
something is not to their standards. Even if it means a delay, even it means that, I mean, that's impressive. I literally, most companies do not operate this way because if it costs them time, money,
Yeah.
they're going to find little shortcuts around things.
Yeah. In fact, a little while ago, I have my own customers that I help, and they were receiving Life Pack,
Mhm.
and the company, some of the raw ingredients weren't coming in, right? So then they upgraded my customers to Life Pack Nano for no extra charge because it was the company's error, right? That they didn't have Life Pack because they were strict with the ingredients. So I thought that was pretty amazing.
Well, that's integrity. Okay.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you that there is one differentiator for me when it comes to everything, meaning the people I talk to, the businesses I choose to work with, the products I choose to like, and it has to do with that one word, integrity.
Yeah.
And very few companies have it, very few people have it. I hate to say it, but it's just true. And I have a very high level of integrity that there's a standard for me. So when I choose to partner up with somebody, they have to have the same level of integrity or I don't want anything to do with it. And it's not something I have a checklist for. It's something that I know internally. I've always been that way, and I'd rather just not be talking to people than talk to people who lack integrity. At this point in my life, that's where I am. So that's the other thing I loved about the company. So much integrity about things like that, because that's the fair and right thing to do. It is. And they just did it, which is awesome. Well, I love it.
They did. Because it was the right thing to do.
Right. I mean, it's their fault they didn't get it, which is, not really their fault if something
Yeah.
didn't come in. I mean, but still, they took responsibility. And that tells me a lot. And those are the kind of stories that made me like the company even more and more and more as I was, investigating. I mean, the things that I was reading, they had a clean track record. And the other thing that I love is the safety. I remember when they said that if there was a contaminant that was the equivalent of, I believe it was 1 drop of iodine in an Olympic-sized pool, that they would not sell it.
Yeah, they would detect that with our multi-million-dollar machines.
Right. And they would not sell it.
Right. That's right. Yep, exactly.
Sometimes some companies would detect it and still sell it.
Yeah, in one day, 1,200 supplements were recalled off the shelves of, different stores.
Mm-hmm.
That's awful.
I know. Well, I know there was a lot with several of the leading companies that have supplements in their own brand. We're not going to say who, but then I think I was told that they were then, as soon as they were recalled, they were selling them at 70% off.
Oh, well, yeah, that's right.
They shouldn't sell them at all. They should just throw them away. And that's because it was recalled because none of the ingredients that were listed on the label were even in the product at all. And there were bunches of contaminants. So here we are trying to take supplements, cheap ones, because this is what people do. It was already studied that people pick supplements not based on any kind of research or anything, just by pretty bottles, which is terrible. And then we're putting contaminants into our body. Well, that's worse than not supplementing at all, frankly.
Absolutely.
So yeah. Makes no sense, but people will. So here's the thing. I would say that a Life Pack, a basic subscription of Life Pack is $100. And there are people out there who think that's expensive, but those are the same people that drink a lot of wine, at least $100 worth a month for sure. They are the same people that will, eat all kinds of junk food to the equivalent of $100 worth. Also could go out to dinner and spend $100, probably buy a lot of lattes and coffees and things like that for $100. So, it's fine. I'm not here to judge anybody, but I am here to call you people out because the reality is you could say you're into health and wellness, but you could not really be doing the right things. And, it's all a choice at the end of the day. I put my money where my mouth is. I spend the most on health and wellness first, and then I don't care if I can't afford all that extra wine, great. Perfect. I mean, I like it. I'm not dissing anybody who does it. I do. I enjoy a cocktail. I enjoy a glass of wine, but it's really on the very infrequent side anymore because as I got older, I really started to feel differently when I had some versus when I didn't. So I'm very choosy about when I do, and most of the time I choose not to. And that's fine. That's everybody's personal choice. But what I'm saying is you'll spend a lot of money and waste a lot of money in a lot of places in the equivalent of $100. It's very simple to waste $100 on all kinds of ridiculous things in 1 month. And if you actually track your expenses, you'll find all the things that you're doing.
Yeah. Yes. So true. So if you take Life Pack, right,
Hmm.
which is one of our foundational supplements, you are receiving 8 to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables per day. So
Yeah.
even if you went to the grocery store and spent $3 a day on fruits and veggies, you wouldn't eat all that anyway.
No. And who can get fruits and vegetables for $3 a day anymore?
That's true.
Because you have to buy them organic or they've got
Yeah.
pesticides, and I like to kind of buy them locally sourced, so they're just more expensive. I can't get crap for $3 a day, to be honest with you. So I enjoy eating fruits and vegetables. I continue to eat those, but I like supplementing. You can't even buy it for $3 a day. So I love, but that's really important math. And this is not girl math I'm talking about. This is like real math. This is real math, people, not girl math.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's easy. It's
Yeah.
convenient.
Yeah. Girl math says I should drink wine instead of having supplements. That's girl math, but this is real math.
I love that.
So yeah, it's so true. And it's very, very important. And I guess the reality is this, everybody has different things that are important to them. I grew up with, a mother who was pretty ill most of the time. I mean, at my age, she was doing different things, meaning going to the doctor a lot, not feeling well. I just didn't want to repeat that. And I mean, I talked to my son the other day and I told him, I said, yeah, I'm going to be 56 in October. And he's like, what? I can't believe that. I go, yeah, I know, me neither. I go,
Oh,
I feel like I'm 35 until I remember that my son is almost 27. So that's
wow.
not,
And that's so cool that he said that.
yeah, I just feel young. And he thinks I'm young till he remembers that I'm not. But that's the thing. So I think we all have different goals and none of it's right, none of it's wrong. But for me, I saw the people who spent time in the doctor's office. I hate going to the doctor. I really try to stay out of there. So I knew that there could be a choice that, I always say, choose your hard. It's hard to be healthy and it's hard to be fit. It absolutely is. But it's also hard to be unhealthy and overweight and sick all the time. So choose your hard. I'd rather choose that other hard, the first hard, and just figure out how to stay healthy than figure out how to be sick all the time and not enjoying my life.
Yeah. Well, I'm 57. I forget sometimes. I think I'm 57, 58, 57, I think. But you know what? I feel better now than I did in my 30s.
Oh, I believe it. I do too. And I mean, you and I are about the same age, and
Yeah.
you're very vibrant and very youthful. And, I mean, in my mind, we're both 30 something. I don't know.
Let's do it.
We're 30 something in our mind, whatever. It doesn't matter. But yeah, and it's really important. So, and also one of the other things that I wanted to mention before I get too off track is that the financing of the company.
Mm.
So a lot of companies will do, they'll do a lot of things and put their company at risk. And one of the things I found out when I went to the conference, now I have to say that their buildings are beautiful and they have huge labs. So we know that none of this was cheap, right? But what I love about what they said during one of the talks was that they never put the company at risk, ever. They always had the money in escrow before they broke ground on a new building. And I love that because to me, that's fiscally responsible. So not only do they have integrity, they're fiscally responsible. Those are all the things I look for. Fiscal responsibility tells me a lot. I have to say, I actually look for that in people that I know, to be honest with you.
Mm.
Fiscal responsibility tells you a lot about a person.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah. And that building that we were in is a $150 million building. And like you said, they paid cash before they even broke ground. And they're very conservative with all through. I mean, we're 41 years old. We're publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange. We have that Dun and Bradstreet 5A1 rating. We've been listed in the top 100 companies, most trusted companies by Forbes.
Yeah.
So,
And I think they were also voted like top places to work in
oh
Forbes,
yeah,
for women
that's
to
right.
work, something like that. I can't remember the
Yeah,
exact.
that's right.
specifics of what that was, but that also made me happy. And the people, you can feel it when people like working there. You can feel it. I'm sorry, they could
Yeah.
pretend, they could smile, but you can feel the energy isn't really right. One of the things that I saw was everybody just really seemed to like working there. I was like, well, that's good.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And that says a lot about a company.
100%. And then I love this part, the charity portion. Tell us a
Oh,
little bit
yeah.
about that.
Okay, I love this part too. So it's Nourish the Children, and it is a vitameal that you just add water to it, and it's highly nutritious. It's formulated for starving children, and to date, we've provided over 850 million meals worldwide to 65 plus countries, and then actually 98% of those are through a school-fed program. So young boys, young girls are, and their families, they're motivated for the girls and the boys to go to school because then they receive the Vitamil.
That's awesome. That's so great. I love
Yeah.
it. And right, because I think the idea was that it was almost cheaper to send the kids to school because they got a meal versus keeping them home. So now in it's like killing two birds with one stone. They're getting food and then they're also getting educated, thank goodness. I mean, that puts our whole society in a better situation.
Yeah. And we've done a lot in Malawi, Africa, and that there's like 10 million people there, and 2 million of them are orphans by the age of 8. So they come in, our company comes in and says, hey, we'll help you with your at-risk children, your orphans. If they just come to school, then we'll feed them. And yeah, it's amazing.
It is. And I want to just backtrack just for a minute because why are there so many orphans? Because their parents, there's been a whole generation wiped out by HIV.
Yeah.
And I want to just pause on that for a second because in this country, we're so affluent that HIV is not even as bad of a thing as it used to be. It doesn't kill people so much. I mean it does, but I'm just saying there's medication now for that. That keeps people at undetectable ranges with the medication. There's even medication to prevent it, so you can just kind of do what you want and prevent. I mean, you know what? We're very fortunate in this country. And other countries don't have that. So a whole generation has been wiped out, leaving all of these orphans behind. So as soon as I heard about that, I was on my computer and I literally went in there and just started, I donated the subscriptions to that because that touched my heart in such a big way that I was like, wow. I was like, we should be helping. That's just how I feel about it.
Yeah. And really that's 5% of what we do, but
Yeah.
it is 95% of who we are.
Which I love, which I love. So those are things that just really make a difference to me. And then, so now we've talked about the health and wellness. We've talked about the company. We've talked about the finances. But let's talk about what this does, bringing this into a business, like a med spa or a healthcare practice. Because you know what? Making ends meet, I ran one of both of those. I had a med spa and an ear, nose, and throat practice. One thing I'll say is if I knew about this, I would have had this in my practice for sure, because it would have been a revenue stream and it would have been a way to get all my unhealthy patients healthier, especially when I was operating on patients. So when, I was telling somebody about this, when you do surgeries, there's a global period with a lot of surgeries. So depending on the surgery, it's different. Where you've got to take care of their post-op problems for free. So healthier people have less post-op complications.
Yeah.
They heal faster. They get on their feet faster. That's been researched over and over again. So what I'm saying is that there's a real space for this because patients being healthier makes your life better because you don't have all the problems. You don't have the headaches in the middle of the night, any of those things. And if you're getting revenue, there are doctors that have said that not only has this scanner created so much revenue that it pays for a few employees, which is huge. Payroll is the biggest expense in a healthcare practice. 2, I heard one doctor say that he stopped doing surgery because he didn't have to because he had the scanner. I was like, wow. Well, anyway, our reimbursements for surgery are going down anyway. And then lastly, I even heard another doctor say that he's going to start telling all his patients that they need to be on at least LifePak before he operates on them because he sees that patients do so much better.
Yeah. I know. Isn't that amazing?
So very, very amazing.
More and more people need to know about this.
Absolutely.
So, so do you want me to go through the revenue?
Yeah, yeah. I want you to
Okay.
definitely go a little bit
So,
through, at least like a high level overview of what this looks like.
okay. So we'll be really conservative. So healthcare provider, if he just scans 5 patients a day at $20 each scan, that's an additional $25,000 a year. That's all cash. And then by recommending some of our products, $100 subscription, our basic, then that is $32,000 a year in passive residual income. But the thing is, 75% of his patients or her patients are already taking a supplement.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't know if it's working or not. So 100 patients is really conservative.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
So
absolutely.
there's a lot
Absolutely.
of room to grow.
A lot of room to grow. So then it's a win-win because now that practice has money to hire other staff, to make improvements, do some other things, you know? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
listen, I have to say that in our country, we tend to be like, oh, money, we don't want to talk about money. I love talking about money. So some people could probably look at this company, Pharmanex, and say, oh my God, well, they got a $150 million building. Well, you know what? They do all the things. They have conferences. They have all these things. So there's nothing wrong with it as long as they're paying for it in an appropriate way and making the money in a way that has integrity. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with having money. It's just there's something wrong with making money in a disingenuous way. There's something wrong with that, in my opinion. But the reality is there's nothing wrong with having money because you know what? You can't keep, if you have a physician or a med spa owner and they're not stressed because they're having a life of abundance, guess what that translates into? Better care, better procedures, a better experience. Everything is coming from that provider to every person that that provider touches. Now, if you're stressed because you can't pay your bills and you're
Yeah.
miserable and you're unhealthy, you're not happy, well, then that's the experience that every patient or every client gets. So there's nothing wrong with abundance. There's nothing wrong with money. There's nothing wrong with talking about money. It's just these are all the old programming that society tells us, which I think, frankly, is a bunch of BS.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I love that. And it's just by helping people in your practice have
Mm-hmm.
better outcomes, and then you can create passive residual income.
Yes. Oh, and I love the part about how it's willable and sellable. I think that's really
Yeah.
important because everybody we're talking to are business owners and healthcare entrepreneurs. So, can you explain that?
Yeah. So we help a physician or healthcare provider build this business. And then when they sell that practice, they will keep receiving this monthly check from the company. And then, God forbid, if anything happens to that provider, his wife, children would keep receiving that monthly check. It's a willable asset.
Yeah. And it's huge because so what happens when we are strapped for money and not healthy in our lives? Our life takes a different trajectory. We're just kind of like scrambling, we're trying to like make ends meet. We're trying to fix our health. We're trying to fix the stress. We're trying to fix all the things. That is not you can do life one of two ways. You can be a reactor to every damn thing that happens to you, or you can decide you're going to be a creator and create the life that you want. I was in the reactor seat. I know both ends of it very, very well. I was reacting to life because I didn't know any differently. Then I started to wake up and become more spiritual and become more aware of what was going on. And I understood that I could then create a life where I'm not scrambling around, not flopping in the breeze dealing with things. I can create a life. Well, Robyn and I want to work with the people who are busy creating a life, not the ones who are reacting and flopping in the breeze. I know plenty of those people. That's not my vibe. But for the providers that are intentional and want to really build a business, want their own health and well-being that's important to them, and they want to actually help other people, and then they want to create wealth for themselves because there's nothing wrong with creating wealth for yourself. It allows you to have enough for you and then help other people. then they can also leave behind a legacy for their children. So for me, in my aspect of this, I do a lot to help medical providers as well as med spas make sure that they're, I put a lot of personal development into my programs because I think it's so important in business ownership. Nobody ever talks about that. But then, introducing wellness streams is another thing, and wellness and revenue streams is another thing that's important to me. And then last but not least, I also am, I have certified in life, health, and accident. So I can help them, with life insurance and all of those things after. So people want to leave behind a legacy. So these are important things because in our lives, anything can happen in a flash of an eye. I remember starting my medical practice. I was 33 years old and I got thyroid cancer. And let me tell you, I wasn't ready for that. I was like, what do you mean I have thyroid cancer? I mean, so I got my thyroid out and I had all the surgery and all the things. And then I almost died. So I was 34. I had a 1-year-old child and a 4-year-old child, and I almost died. Was I prepared for almost dying? No, we hadn't done crap. Well, let me tell you that whole thing made me live my life very differently. I think that's why I do it this way now, because I'm very decisive about making sure all things are arranged because I don't want that ever to happen to me again.
Yeah. Wow, that's powerful. You want to be prepared.
You want to be prepared. And even when you're young, because you don't know what's going to happen is the reality. And then the older you get, and I deal with a lot of medical providers who haven't even thought that far. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? You're the one that's taking care of your whole family. If something happens to you now everybody's going to suffer, So, but there are things we can do to prevent that. So, these are just important things, and not to get heavy, but people, we have to be proactive about our own lives because nobody else is going to do it for us.
Yeah. And there's strength in being prepared.
Oh, 100%, 100%. So yeah. And that's how, Robyn and I want to work together to help people be prepared for all of those things. So, I mean, and this is just also really just informational to help people understand what's out there, what supplements are really about, and what we don't know, because I've researched this stuff for at least 10 years or more, but not everybody has the time or the interest, So this is kind of like a public service announcement in a way.
Yeah.
And listen, you may not want to you may not like these supplements, fine. But all I'm saying is that as a general rule, for anybody who's using supplements, really research the company and find out everything you can find out about them. Because I have to say, now it's easy. You could put into ChatGPT and say, assess this company for safety and, clinical studies and all these things. Oh, let's actually say something about the clinical studies, because a lot of supplement companies will say, oh, we have clinical studies. But what they do is they have clinical studies for 1 or 2 of the ingredients that's in the product. Not the whole product.
Yes.
It's like a little loophole.
So we'll take the collagen, for example.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great one.
Our collagen has its own clinical study on the product itself as a whole. No other collagen in the market has that.
Right. And people buy a lot of collagen. They buy it from Sprouts, they buy it from Whole Foods, they buy it from all kinds of places. And I've never bought those things. And you remember, even when you mentioned it to me, I was like, I don't know. Is there a clinical study? What is the first question I asked you? Then I read the clinical study. I was like, okay, now I'm on board. And this company has multiple studies on pretty much every single one of their products. I mean, I don't know. I think every single one, if I remember.
Oh, yeah.
You're wrong, but I think every single one. So multiple studies. So again, for healthcare providers, med spas, we want to be providing things that have clinical studies behind them, because that's part of our responsibility to our clients and our patients. So, so sending them to Amazon, in my opinion, to GNC, just to buy whatever, is almost not right for us to do, in my opinion. When we know better, we shouldn't be doing that. And this isn't about money or getting people to do anything. It's about at least telling people the things that they probably don't know because they haven't been researching it. As us, as medical people, we know these things, but most people don't.
Yeah. And you deserve to know. I'm going to go back to that. Everyone deserves to know
Mhm.
how healthy they are on the inside. And
Totally.
then they can improve that.
Yeah, 100%. And then I want to actually talk about the prism. We're going to talk about
Okay.
that a little bit because we were talking about how the scanners keep getting smaller. So let's talk about the tiniest little scanner.
Yeah. So our company, the last few years has, well, first of all, we invest over $60 million a year in innovation, which is amazing. But the last few years, we've invested over 500 million into the next generation of the scanner. And that's going to be, there's a soft launch the end of this year. And that will be the size of a hockey puck. And it will be called Prism IO. And it will do exactly what we do now, measure the level of antioxidants in your body, which is more accurate than a blood test, equal to a biopsy, but it will be more accurate. And then we're going to add 25 to 30 other biomarkers in that little Prism IO.
And it scans in 15 seconds.
Oh, yeah, 15 seconds.
So
And
while we're at the conference, they sent somebody walking around, and in 20 minutes, he had scanned everybody in the room, and there was probably 50 something, 60, I don't know, 50, 60 people, whatever. He'd gone through the whole room in just a few minutes. And then the interesting thing is one of the doctors chimed in and said, if you get a lab test for, I believe it was antioxidants, I believe it costs about $400, he said. Do you remember that?
oh, yeah, yeah.
I might have the numbers a little off, but the bottom line is a couple of $100 is the bottom line. Well, that whole prism is a couple of $100, and you can just test and keep testing. And I guess they've done this so patients or people can actually have them in their home. It's affordable enough that somebody could just have it in their home and just scan themselves every so often, whatever they want.
Yeah, eventually we'll get to that point.
Right, which is
Yeah,
kind of cool. Some people may be interested in that.
yeah, yeah. That
So
is so exciting. So, I mean, I'm more excited now than I've ever been in the business, and I've been doing this 5 years, and that's because of the Prism IO.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, frankly, the reality is if you can't measure it, you can't change it. And I love that because that is such an important thing. It's kind of like we go to the gym, we measure our body fat, we get on a scale, we measure our, weight, we measure our age. We have lots of ways to measure everything, but we should be measuring our cellular health, which is so, so important.
yeah.
Yeah. But this has been such a great conversation. I mean, I could probably talk to another hour, but we don't want our audience might be like, oh, no, that was too much. But any last words that you want to share with us?
Let's see. Well, I'll go back to you deserve to know. Now, my father, he had dementia, and that just broke my heart to see my big, strong dad have dementia. And my mom, my sweet mom, took care of him the last few years, and I mean, she was dedicated to him. But it just seems like there's more ailments in our society now, but we each have the power to become healthier. We have the power now. We have the technology. We have the supplements that can help us. So I would just encourage everyone to really think about their health, and we can make a difference.
Totally.
The resources are there.
Yeah. Not only can we make a difference in our own health, we can also make a difference in the health of others. So
Yeah.
that is a really important thing because really the reality in life, you can have everything you ever wanted. But if you don't have your health, you literally have nothing.
I know it.
Nothing. And that's what I tell my children all the time. Do not skimp when it comes to your health. I said, if you don't have your health, the rest doesn't even matter. And you can ask anybody who has failing health, they will tell you they will give anything, every penny they have, everything they have to be healthy again.
Wow, that's so true.
It's true. I've heard people say that. I've dealt with plenty of people that were dying of cancer or some sort
Yeah.
of chronic illness, COPD. I've been a physician for 20 something years and I've seen all of that. And every single one of them, they all said they would rather have the health than anything. And at the end, many of them have said to me that if they had to do it all over again, they would have put less importance on all the silly things that didn't matter, put more importance on their health, their well-being, and their family and their loved ones. That's what every single human being
Oh,
says.
yeah.
Every single one. I think there's even a book about that, something about regrets of a dying person or something like that. I
Yeah.
don't remember the name of the exact book, but there is a
Wow.
book about that. And that's pretty much what everybody says. Because at the end of the day, on your deathbed, you are not interested in having all this money or this or that. There's just a few things that really truly matter in life. And I would say it's
Mm-hmm.
your health, your wealth, because you got to have money to survive. I mean, you can't take it with you, but at least while you're here, you should be able to live comfortably.
Yeah.
Then your freedom. I mean, freedom to me is like one of the hugest things. And then obviously in our loved ones, not necessarily in that order, but those are the things that really, I would say at the end of the day, matter the most.
Yeah. Amen.
What a fantastic conversation. I knew it would be, but it's so great to have you on. I'm actually going to pop up, this sponsor list here for a second. And then, again, listening to Smile over here on the left, our season sponsor. And then on the right is Robyn's information here for Get Healthy USA and for sponsoring this episode. And it has been just an absolute pleasure having you here with me today.
Thank you, Dr. Sundar.
Yes, have a fabulous rest of the day. And thank you again for being a guest on Gloves Off.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation. It was raw, it was real, but that's what you're going to get here on Gloves Off because that's what I do. So again, we're going to be doing this every week. Again, every Sunday. I didn't change the time. New episode of Gloves Off After Dark will be, I believe it's September 28th with me and Josh. Next week, I'm going to be interviewing Chris Driscoll. And she has I don't even know how to explain what she does, but she's a coach, but she really deals with the saboteurs in our life, and she personifies these saboteurs, and they are the same saboteurs in every single woman. And so I just love her outlook. So I cannot wait to have you guys deep dive into that conversation with me. So again, we will see you next week for another episode of Gloves Off. Don't forget to follow me on YouTube, and we'll see you next week, next year. I don't know what I was saying. Bye, guys.